Yeah, there were some Summit people there again. Second week in a row, you saw them at the last part. They had a specific thing they wanted. They wanted open space tax cut. And here's what they said.
Good evening, Dr. Robert Rubino, Councilman City of Summit. Returning again from the last meeting to deliver a request from the citizens of Summit for strident fiscal restraint on this year's county budget. To that end, one item that was a resolution passed on Tuesday after the council meeting was to request an emergency reduction by 50% of the Oakland County Tax Act for all Union County residents. This original tax was put forth to preserve 100 acres over 10 years. That goal has been reached by threefold. And we would also request in the resolution that we put that as a referendum in the November ballot to perhaps permanently reduce the Oakland County open space tax by 50%. In addition, Summit pays approximately 2.5 times the average rate of Union County taxes. And we're only 4% of the population, yet we pay almost 11% of the county levy. We would like to see an ordinance maybe put forth at the county level that no city should pay more to the county than it does to run its own city, which is the case in Summit. We pay about 23% of our tax levy to run the municipality and almost 27% to the county. So those are two items that we think would help reduce the burden on our citizens, and by reducing the open space tax by 50% permanently, I think that would benefit all residents, and with the appreciation of the value of land over the last 10 years in our municipality, we're still paying the same rate, even by the same amount, even with a 50% reduction. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. We'll take that as your advice. Appreciate that.
My name is Pat Hurley. I'm also an elected member of council in Summit, along with Dr. Rubino. And I'm here tonight speaking on behalf of, I think, most of the residents of Summit, most of the voters of Summit. And I just want to repeat some of what Rob just said, if you'll indulge me for that. Each resident, taxpayer in Summit, pays on average about $1,200 per year to Union County in taxes. We pay at a rate of about 140% more than the average resident across Union County, and that's about $700 more per year for every man, woman, and child that live in Summit. In total, we pay approximately $29 million per year to Union County, and as Dr. Rubino pointed out, that's more than our own city operating budget of $28 million. We make up 4% of the population, and we pay approximately 12% or 10% of the county's total tax levy. Again, that equals $29 million, and at best guess, we get back about $3 million in services from the county. So we're paying $26 million more. If this is incorrect, at some point I would like to get information from the county, outlining what the correct numbers are, because this is what the assumptions that most residents in Summit are now acting on. They're figuring out and they're demanding of us as elected representatives that we take action and do something for them, because frankly it's unsustainable, and the residents of Summit can't accommodate this arrangement much more. We have our own internal budget battles, and then everyone turns and looks at the county and looks at what we pay and what little we get in return. So what I'm here tonight is asking you is to, as we begin this process, is to help us work with you to get more value from the county due to our large tax levy. And I think working closely with us, the residents of Summit and council, helping us find the synergies so that we can identify and benefit from shared service opportunities, economies of scale, and also help us to begin tame our own spending in your spending, and also find ways to cut spending. And I think as a body, and as individual freeholders, you represent us too. I encourage you to come spend time in our city. I encourage you to get to know our city, attend our council meetings, and even perhaps hold one of your freeholder meetings in our council chambers. So again, I just wanted to get that out there, and I thank you for this opportunity here tonight.
Thank you, Councilman.
Hi, my name is Lisa Allen. I live in Summit, and I'm coming here because the other day I read in the newspaper, I think it was the Star Ledger, that Union County has surpassed Essex County in terms of property taxes, that we now pay higher property taxes than Essex. And as a Summit resident, I know that we have a lot of decisions to make around budgets, but I'm appealing to the board here tonight that property taxes for everyone in this room hit so close to home. And I know that Summit, people might tend to think that we don't care what we pay in property taxes, but my family, my husband and I just moved there with our 2 young kids, and we love the town, but we have seen our property taxes be raised exponentially in 2 years. So as you go through your budget, please take into consideration that, you know, we hope that our property taxes do not go up again. The other question I have really quickly is, thank you for having this. I actually have a lot of interest now in returning, and I'm curious if I can find a line by line in terms of the budget that you guys are talking about. As I go through, people seem to know a lot about where to find this information, and I don't know where I would go to find not just a snapshot, but I would like to dig in a little deeper in terms of budget and where our money goes. Thanks.
Okay, well, thank you for your comments. We haven't established our budget for 2012 yet. When we do, it'll be made public. You can take a look at it. But I can probably give you feedback.
They said that, and as then they were leaving, and I was the next one coming up, and you know, well, you'll see them jostling in front of me as they were going to leave. I don't know if they stayed for my little spiel, but here's how I responded to them.
Yes, Barry Kenilworth. I have a question on the unemployment fund, but I'd like to address the Summit people before they leave.
You can direct it to me.
They'll hear unless they're out there.
Okay.
Oh, wait, so sorry. No, sorry.
It's encouraging to see them come out. It's discouraging to see their tactics. You've got to look at these individually. You can't just come up to you guys and say, cut this by a half. They don't know that you're paying people out of the Open Space Trust Fund. About 1.1 million based on my Excel spreadsheet. There's debt being paid out. If you cut that, you're going to take it from the other county part. There should be 21 representatives here looking at the budget in detail. And if they're looking for a place, that your budgets, your audits are on ucnj.org, and a layman's explanation of that is on unioncountywatchdog.org, and it will be. There's a personnel report coming any day, and the whole budget, when you do come out, there'll be a little detailed report. There's something on there about 2010 now, by line item, by people, everything's there. And I don't think it serves any purpose to come here and say, well, cut, without actually understanding where the money goes, what you should be cutting. As I said before, Kresge, Palumbo, Ramad, there are, I don't know, Kresge is one of the labor attorneys. Anyway, there are what I perceive as a lot of waste, and it's on account of the campaign system that we're saddled with. And if you point it out, it probably won't ever go away unless you eliminate campaign contributions altogether. But it can be lessened, and that's where it'll come. It'll be a natural progression downwards. Look at the details, then it'll come out. So, I don't know. Summit came two times in a row. I give them some chance for a third. I don't think a fourth time's coming. All right, my question. The employment trust fund. I am putting together this thing about debt, and I've broken through some walls. I kind of get this. I see the UCIA, where they're part of it and all, but I can't find the unemployment trust fund.
And another little tape here. Here's how the freeholders responded to them. They were long gone. They were probably back in Summit at this point. But this is what the freeholders said.
I guess frankly irresponsible some of those numbers were. I mean, I'd like to see those numbers and look those numbers over, because it seems to me that per what Summit gives towards the Open Space Trust Fund, it seems to me that they get a whole lot more back than what they give.
Issues with their taxation. Two things. One is that they've actually, up until now, received $3 million more in open space than they've paid into it. So they're, you know, in a net position. And you know, also something that people overlook, in all of our towns, we need to repave and redo roads and light signals and things like that. And I don't know how many are aware, but in the last several years, I would say maybe 3 years, maybe 4 years, if Joe Gross is here, he can confirm, Summit has had all of their main roads repaved, new signals put up, the signal at Morris and Glenside, which was critical to Summit for all the traffic that goes through that area, the signal at Morris and Springfield, every signal along that corridor and the conversing corridor has been replaced and those roads have been repaved. That was a multi-million-dollar project. So we're not taking money from any town and just saying, well, it's in our coffers, so we're just going to keep it. We're giving it back. We're doing the things that need to be done in all 21 of our towns. And I think it's very important for people to understand that. And just so that we're straight on this, I don't have anything against Summit. I was born and raised in Summit. I still have family there. Summit's my hometown. But they're being a little unreasonable, I think. I think in their open space request to cut the tax in half when, in fact, they've already received more than they've put in. And, you know, with regard to the taxation issues, I think they're being a little unreasonable. I just needed to get that off the top. That concludes my comment. Thank you.
Some of the people talked about the open space trust fund. There's always this misnomer because it's called the open space trust fund. Actually, that's probably the smallest part of the trust fund. A lot of what, you know, what goes into recreation, historic development, we spend millions just on historic preservation over the last 10 years or so. Many, many millions more in terms of recreation in all 21 municipalities. So to act as if, you know, that's just, we're just there to purchase open space is frankly disingenuous from those folks. And again, they've gotten more money from those purchases than they put into it over the course of the last 10 years or so.
3 or 4 of them. Yeah, look, think of the word, disingenuous. I mean, they pretty much laughed in their faces if they had been there. Yeah, but they weren't there. But the thing is, they probably would have said the same things if they were there. Maybe not as strongly, maybe some, but examine what they said. And I was going to go to the next Summit Council meeting or the Taxpayers Association just to bring up this point. Not necessarily what I said, but they were doing that thing with the open space tax, which was phony. Summit does not make money on the open space tax. There were 2 major purchases early on in Summit, $9 million for something that
I have them
American
here.
Water. It was American Water property in the very beginning.
How are they doing them a favor by buying this big piece of property taken off the tax rolls?
Yeah,
and they're saying they're doing them a favor. They got more money because they're counting $9 million from American Water.
and who says that Summit's getting it? They're not getting it.
Right. But someone told the freeholders they want to embarrass the Summit people, saying, what are these boobs doing? They want to get rid of the open space tax. They get more money out of it than they put in. And somebody told them that. They repeated over and over again, unthinkingly, and that's how it is. Now, it'd be nice if the Summit people really represented their people, and that's how they felt, and they made this suggestion last year. Tom Getzendammer came last year, said, because the reason they did it is because other counties are cutting their open space tax. And as I mentioned before, Union County doesn't do it because they're paying people out of it. They're paying debt out of it. They're pretty much stealing the open. I didn't make this point when I was there, but Burton Zittimer, who had his legal opinion, he's the open space tax lawyer, and he gave them the opinion that they could use open space tax money for anything regarding parks, not stuff just bought there. Burton Zittimer is paid from the open space tax trust fund. You just kind of can't make this stuff up. And the Summit people who come, well, a couple of times every year, every other year, something like that, are looking at it from their focus. I mean, they're looking at what they do for their budget, how they pay attention. They can't comprehend the puppets that they're dealing with.
It's shocking they can't comprehend it. It's true.
And that's the point I was going to make. If there is
The scoundrels they're dealing
if there is the next Summit Council meeting that doesn't conflict with a basketball night, I am going to go over there and make my, actually you only get 3 minutes, but I'll make my 3 minutes of that because I think it's something they really got to say. And perhaps they could re-watch the video where they're being called, I don't remember that, disingenuous, or someone else called them something awful. I mean, clueless.
That's what they do. They attack people that don't agree with them instead of trying to work with them, instead of trying to be professionally polite. Just a summit. You know, these are council people. They're very busy. I say time and again, council people work way harder than freeholders, way harder at what they do and being accountable to their people. They drive a half hour to get to a freeholder meeting, a half hour back. They sit through the meeting for as long as they can, and then as soon as they leave, the freeholders attack them. They're like street punks. Street punks do that, not professionals. Professionals don't behave in that manner. Professionals would make their comments while these people are, they would have a conversation with them. No, they wait. They're bullies. They're little street thugs. That's why you have to wait till the end of the meeting. And if they dare to disrespect you, you have to speak out like Jim did tonight. You cannot allow these bullies to disrespect you that way. It's our money. It's our money.
And they could have said it. As the Summit people were there, they sat down. They didn't ask questions, granted, but Sullivan could have asked, well, I want to respond to that point about the open space tax.
Or let's have a meeting. Let's discuss this further. Let's get together. Let's have your people call my people.
Oh, scandal.
No conversation, just attacks. Just attacks. That's their. Again, if they had a professional public relation, they're spending like, I don't know, $500,000 on public information salaries, and they're all just like little political hacks, don't know what the hell they're doing.
Plead for the other governing bodies.
And the other government bodies should take the time out and join Summit and come out and be harassed and get to the point where you say, you know what, this isn't working, we need representation. The only way to do it is to district county government. That's what needs to be done. County government needs to be districted. But it's like dealing with, I hate to, I don't want to say it. It's like dealing, well. It's like,
I'm going to say it.
I'm going to say it. So you cannot, it's not to belittle terrorism, but you cannot negotiate with certain people. There's no negotiating. There's no negotiating here. But I hope Summit continues to come out, and I hope the freeholders continue to react in this honor manner. And I have to hand this to them. They were just being their honest, true selves. They weren't trying to BS Summit at all. They were like, well, that's what you think. Well, this is what we think, and come back again, and you're going to get more of the same. So hopefully it'll go back and forth a little while, and people at Summit will be joined by the people of Westfield, and this place, that place, and the other place, and hopefully something major will come of it, because what needs is a fundamental change. County government needs to be districted. It's a lot of work. A lot of people have to chip in and get it done, but that's what needs to be done.
Yeah, but as far as, and I just go back to this, that they didn't respond to them while they were there. If I were a Summit resident, I would kind of be upset at my representative being disrespected so much. I could take it. The Summit people aren't fools. They aren't idiots. If there's an answer to the open space, they come in there saying, we want to cut open space tax cut in half. The freeholders obviously had no intention of doing that because they said that in their open closing comments. Why couldn't they have gotten, so cojones still used these days?
Cojones.
You can use it.
Come out there while they were sitting there saying, we've thought about this, because of the situation, we will not do that. Why did they wait till they left to do it? I mean, you could say, they didn't have the floor, but they could have. It's just a matter of simple respect. We're not going to do it.
There is no respect.
There is no respect.
There's no respect. And
Well,
Summit
They
will
sit
come
up-
to realize that.
they sit up there
but
and
hopefully
expect
that
you
won't
to
be
go
the
there.
end. They won't give up. They'll realize something more fundamental needs to be done. And Summit does know that. I believe there are people in Summit that knows that. It's hard work that needs to be done.